Silksong is an incredibly well-built game, with hours upon hours of content, and for a game developed by such a small team, it has a relatively low amount of glitches, especially compared to some AAA titles, even though it has a lot of bugs. But such an interesting part of Silksong's game design is the very strange functionality of the hitboxes, which allow the speedrunners of this game to absolutely break it apart, skipping so many required items, locations, and bosses across every single category. And strangely enough, our journey begins with one of the game's required items. Now believe it or not only is Silksong possible without the Drifter's Cloak, but speedrunners actually purposefully do not take it, as it is faster to speedrun the game than if they had the cloak. But how could that be possible? Silksong is a Metroidvania after all, and you need certain items to get to certain locations, right? Well, no. See, there's only one location in the entire game that actually requires Drifter's Cloak. Everywhere else has an alternative or some fancy trick to get around it, with the only required place being this little vent here, just before Clawline, because you either have to use this slipstream to climb it with Drifter's Cloak, or use double jump, but obviously runners do not have that, because it would require traversing the longest area in the entire game, which is, you know, not that good. And there's no other method of gaining vertical height, except, you know, if there was a wall you could jump off of, but as you can clearly see, there's no wall here, so it must be impossible. Yep, that's it. Video over. I'm joking. See, if we look how this wall's hitboxes are built, it looks pretty normal, alright? Wrong! You see that? You see that? You see that? That is a wall. You don't believe me? Look at this. That's right, just because of a couple of pixels of wall sticking out of this slope, it is possible to beat Silksong without the cloak. All runners have to do is jump up, wall jump off of that small pixel, and scramble their way up, and boom, they now have Clawline, and therefore every item that they need to complete the game. Convenient, isn't it? And it's all thanks to the wacky hitboxes. Now, the only downside to this is that Team Cherry pretty much immediately patched this bug out of the game. It's almost like they don't want bugs in their game. Right, guys? Meaning in the very next update of the game, that little piece of geometry was gone. So runners now had a difficult decision to make. Continue playing the latest version of the game with the most recent optimizations, but be forced to use the Drifter's Cloak, a slower strategy, or just stay on the release version of the game. I mean, obviously most runners just stayed on the release patch with or without Drifter's Cloak because it had the most glitches and it's therefore just better for speedrunning, but it meant that the community was now split, especially for the console runners, who cannot downpatch the game as easily as the PC players can, giving anyone with the release patch of the game a distinct advantage. But hang on a minute, what does the route even look like for people who do take the cloak? Do they just play the game normally, or is there a crazy bug involving hitboxes they can use to skip one of the game's required bosses? What's this video's title again? Now, for those who need a quick memory refresh on how you actually obtain the Drifter's Cloak, you first need to fight and defeat Lace 1, before talking to this NPC, who offers you a quest to collect spines. A bit weird, but yeah. In exchange for the cloak, where you then must return back, finding that this terrifying machine called the Fourth Chorus has awoken, and only after slaying this behemoth. That's not what speedrunners do. No, they do like a jump. So cool. Shh. I'm getting to that. And only after slaying this behemoth can you finally move on with your run. But wowee. That is a big time loss. You know, if only there was like a massive like gaping hole in the arena with no invisible hitbox to stop you from leaving. That'd be pretty epic, not gonna lie. Yeah, it turns out because of a lack of a hitbox here, by using a precise jump, it is absolutely possible for runners to just leave the arena without touching the lava. Now, this is a much more precise jump than the Drifter's Cloak skip, and it's also much higher stakes due to the lukewarm water below you. But it is unfortunately an essential part of a run with the cloak. Now for our final hitbox quirk, I must take you way back to the game that started it all, with over 8 million predicted players, 500,000 positive reviews, and the best game of all time, in my opinion. OBS Studio, let's go. Like, woo! Let's go. Hollow Knight, it's Hollow Knight. And this shrogoing strategy involves parrying your own attack. What? Like, what? Is this f***ing Ultrakill or something? Like, I don't. By using the ability Abyss Shriek, you can see that the hitbox for it lingers around slightly longer than the actual spell, and the player also regains control of the knight in this time period. So, if you are precise enough, you have a 4-frame window to double jump and slash downwards, so that, if done correctly, you will have tricked the game into believing that you pogoed, allowing you to dash again, or double jump again, or even shrogo again, and gain even more height. Now, due to the soul limitations of the spell, and the fact that it's gotten pretty close to the end of the game, it unfortunately doesn't have that many uses, except for some niche speedrun categories like Path of Pain Descent, for example. So yeah, unfortunately, it's pretty much just a cool trick. But if anyone actually does know any practical uses for it, please let me know in the comments, even though I am never wrong. How do Hollow Knight speedrunners beat Path of Pain? Pretty impressive for a game that isn't even a platformer. Holy blind, it literally said platformer in the list. My bad, guys. Career's over. Pack it up. Better get the ukulele out the list. Never wrong. Anyway, thank you so much for watching to the end. Let me know what you thought of my first long form video. If it was leave a like. If it was ass, leave a like. And also only leave a like.